So I asked Reddit's r/YouTubers to ask me questions as an editor. These varied from YouTube content questions, technical editing questions, and of course, money and income questions, because you are all so nosy. I'll be answering these in different sections, but without further ado, let's get into it.
In the time of chimpanzees, I was a monkey.
Our Revolution asks about how did I learn how to edit and what are some tips for editing for newbies. So I mostly taught myself how to edit. I started when I was 13 on Share Factory on the PlayStation, and I worked my way up till I got good with Adobe Premiere. My best advice is to just find an editing software that works for you to start. It could be a free software like Share Factory or Shotcut, but what I'd advise is Wondershare for More to start. It's a one-time purchase and does everything you'll need an editing software to do, while also being pretty beginner-friendly. Just start editing and practicing your skill. There are infinite YouTube tutorials for any software you choose, and Skip here brings up a good point where you can pay for more in-depth Skillshare classes if that's more your thing. Not sponsored, by the way. Dirty asks how long it took for me to build up my media library, and my answer to that is that I started with nothing in it, and I slowly built it over time as I edited more and more videos, so I don't think it's something you really need to worry about to start. It'll build naturally as you edit more things. Vacated Hours asks, how did you find them/they find you? Talking about my clients. How I mainly find clients is going through Twitter and following many content creators. When a content creator needs an editor, they usually advertise it on their Twitter, so I send them an email with my details and also DM sometimes. Both the Easy Speezy and Real Civil Engineer were found this way. Metal has multiple questions here, but I'll go one at a time. First, how many hours do you work in a day? On editing, it can be anything from 2 hours to 10 hours a day. Just really depends how many I feel like doing that day or how long the video is, which brings me to the next part of the question, which is how long does it take to edit one video? Of course, each video varies, but I'd say generally between 2 to 5 hours per video. And lastly, are there sometimes multiple editors who share the same file? RCE has multiple editors, but we never work together on any videos. We just kind of work on our own separate projects, at least so far.
We are all just prisoners here.
Composer Jazz asks, what do I personally do to increase watch time? My go-to philosophy is always be quick and concise in the first 30 seconds. Don't linger on any thought too long when you don't have to, and edit your videos tightly. Don't let there be long gaps without you talking, unless it's really something that adds to the video. And also adding text at the beginning of the video seems to help as well. Julio asks, what to do with a part of a video that you can't find any edits for, but you don't want to leave it unedited? This is a really good question, actually. If something needs a significant edit, but I can't think what to do, I will often just take a break for about 5 to 10 minutes and then come back to it. And often clearing my head like that actually allows me to think of something. Also, never underestimate a simple zoom in or zoom out to add some spice to a section that might be spiceless. Cyrus commented, if you can get away with minimal editing and just focus on content. In short, yes, but you better have some fantastic content coming out. And be honest with yourself. Very few people could get away with this, but the YouTuber Professor comes off the top of my head that pulls this off well. Don't post some gameplay though, with mid-commentary that has 20-second gaps in between saying anything. I don't mean to sound harsh, but you aren't going to go anywhere with that. Cavish asks, if my clients also stutter and stammer. My guy, yes. I work for people who get paid more than some small countries to speak and play video games, and they stutter and stammer harder than anyone else. And that's 100% okay, because it's my job to make them sound like a linguist. Don't be embarrassed if you stutter or stammer, because it can't be worse than me at karaoke. Brandy. RCE once sent me an ad read for a minute-long ad, and the file was almost 20 minutes long. Fredo Films, how do I deal with my editing software crashing? Okay, listen, you guys might not like this answer, but it's what I'm going to answer. Buy an Apple. Buy a MacBook Pro. Now, before you have a hissy fit, because you have some vendetta against Apple for some reason. Let me explain. At least with Adobe Premiere, I have been using Apple MacBook Pros for the past 3 years and have only ever once lost footage when it crashed, and the crashes are super rare. Premiere runs extremely well on Apple, and even though Apples are a little expensive, it's worth it to me not having to worry about losing an hour of work because of a crash. Also, autosaves are a lifesaver. Confident Block just wants to know some simple tips and tricks, and I'll drop 3 on ya. 1. know your hotkeys. For example, if you're using Premiere, know that C is cut, V is select, and etc. Ergonomics is surprisingly important. I once had a 10-hour editing session where I was looking slightly downwards at my monitor to edit, and I woke up the next day unable to move my neck, and I couldn't do anything for 3 days. Worst pain I've had in probably a decade. And number 3, get a good workplace. Make sure your area is clean, maybe some RGB lights, some plushies or something, just anything to make you enjoy being in your workplace. It surprisingly helps your workflow and keeps you from procrastinating as much.
Grab that cash with both hands and make a stash.
Finally, what you all have been waiting for. D asks if this is a side gig or main source. Right now, I'm working another job alongside editing, so it's technically a side gig right now. And lastly, SHMX. How much roughly do I make a month? I don't want to say my exact income for editing, but it's comfortable. None of my clients I feel is underpaying me or anything. I feel pretty financially content and money isn't something that I have to stress about, which I'm very thankful about. I'll be answering some more questions on the Reddit post that I haven't answered yet, so I'll link that down below, but follow me on Twitter and like the video. Toodles!